Hey Griffins, lab time, periodic table lab. Miss Hortensi's behind the camera. Say hi, Miss Hortensi.
Hi guys.
Thank you, Miss Hortensi, for helping out. Background today. We know some properties of metals, non-metals, and that metalloids converge. So we're going to explore the properties of metals and non-metals and be able to determine what these samples are. Are they metal or are they non-metal? So we have through G 6-7 samples for you to play with today. You got to figure out, are they metal or non-metal, using a few different tests. So I'm going to kind of go over the data table and do the lab while you kind of figure out the procedure and write some notes down. So as I move over, I see that I have a conductivity tester. I'm going to turn it on. And when I put the sample here, we're going to find out if it's metal or not, because it should light up. You see it light up all right?
Yep.
Sweet. Conductivity tester. Good old-fashioned hammer. This, we're going to test how well you can operate safely in lab. I don't want this thing slamming around. I don't want you hitting each other with it, and I don't want you breaking the table with it. So we're going to use it light. Okay? And we also have some sandpaper, because I want you to be able to remove the oxide layer in case one exists, to see if it's actually metallic or not. So let me get out a piece of a sample here. I gotta tell you which sample it is. Put this one. So I have a sample here. I'm not gonna tell you what letter it is either. But I'm gonna go through the 3 tests real quick and see if it works. So you see this little piece? I'm going to touch both prongs to it and see if it lights up. Now notice, when I first did it, it didn't light up. And notice here, I'm touching it, it's not, but here it is. So these things are a little bit finicky, so you got to be very careful with this thing. I want you to take your time and give it a good college try to figure out if it lights up. So yes, it lights up. So for that sample conductivity, I'm going to say yes. Okay, and I'm not going to tell you what the sample letter is. You're going to figure that out on your own. Now luster, we're not really sure if it's shiny, because sometimes, you know, the transition metals, they form that oxide layer. That's what the sandpaper's for. So if I need to see real quick if I can get a little shine to that. Does that have luster? And then there's the whole malleability piece. So what I'm really looking for here is I don't need to make this thing completely flat. But if it's a non-metal and I hit it, it should cleave and break into pieces. And when I do this, does it break into pieces? No, and I can actually see the flattening on the top a little bit. So I would say that this is malleable. So under the malleable, I'd say yes. And luster, I can see that it is kind of a little bit shiny. So I would probably give this luster too. Now I can take those 3 properties. It is malleable, it does have luster, it does conduct electricity. Now I can determine by its properties, is it a metal or not? So that's lab. You have 7 of these to go through. There are not a lot of some of them. Like here, check this one out. There's not a lot of this stuff. So you can't use a lot of it. Okay, we're just going to use a little bit of that. So we're going to have to kind of keep that in mind. That we got 2 full classes that need to go through this stuff. When we're done, we can put it back where it belongs. I will do that in a second. And so now I can fill out my data table. That is basically the procedure I did for 1. So you can, of course, fill in the procedure here. What did I do to test for conductivity? What did I do to test for malleability? What did I do to test for luster? Okay, complete sentences are always best, guys, just saying. There's some pre-lab questions based on what you saw and what your tests are that you can answer to help you come up with some conclusions. We're going to classify each of our samples and explain why. And then you're going to make your claim. Is it a metal? Is it a non-metal? Or is it a metalloid? And then your data and your interpretation. You know that samples C, B, and F, and I'm throwing these out there, those might not really be the right ones, are metals, are non-metals. You fill them in, you tell me why. Remember, claim, evidence, interpretation is the most important part of the lab. That piece isn't done, you're not getting full credit. And that's it, you're off to the races. See you guys tomorrow in class.